Now for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Dr. Bassi. Good morning, Ayo. Ayo. Ayo, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Ayo. Vimbai Adefemi, good morning to you all.
I won't accept it. Face the wall and raise your hands.
Good morning to you all. Let's go. There's a lot going on in the business world today. Brent crude, this was up, it could be down, but oil was really volatile this morning. But 25 basis point rise for Brent, 60, it's just oscillating between 60.59. West Texas still at 56 levels. Most of this was because of U.S. oil inventories released by the Energy Information Administration. So 419 barrels for the week, 419 million, excuse me. This is crude oil stock, right? And it fell by more than expected, 3.8 million barrels for the week ended January the 2nd. The forecast was for an increase of 447,000. So I think there's an inverse relationship. If the U.S. draws down by more than expected on its inventories, I think the market says that's higher demand than expected, so prices rise, and the opposite. If it goes up by more than expected, then that means demand is low and then prices fall. So that's what we saw there. But Venezuela still making the news. The Financial Times reporting that there was a meeting between U.S. White House representatives and oil and gas executives. They said they wanted serious guarantees, financial and legal. We understand before they can go back into Venezuela. We understand that President Trump, according to the Financial Times, is supposed to hold a meeting with oil and gas execs on Friday. There's been a lot of colorful language over the last 24 hours from Minnesota to here. So this was an anonymous private equity investor who apparently specializes in energy that spoke to the Financial Times. Don't know who it is, but it says no one wants to go in there, that's Venezuela, when a random bleep tweets can change the entire foreign policy of the country. And look, really, honestly, I don't know. I'll see how this works. It's just really sketchy. And even oil prices are falling. So there's, you have to look at least for the upstream folks, what the incentive will be to go into Venezuela. Meanwhile, poly markets, I don't know if you guys saw this story. Someone bet $32,000 the night before, this was, I think, Friday night, the night before Maduro was captured. Someone bet $32,000 on poly market. Poly market, you can bet on whether I'll sneeze in the next 5 minutes or so. All types of random bets there. Anyway, they bet $32,000 that he will be out of office by January the 31st. And I know there were those, is it the Polynesian folks on an island that forecast this, but the hours later, he was captured, and the person made over $400,000. I think it was $436,000 on the bet. People are questioning whether it was insider trading, somebody within the White House that knew about the operation, or it was just pure luck. Moving from there, Asian markets are bearish. The bullish momentum we saw to start the year looks like it's falling. However, this is the Kospi Samsung, which was oscillating between gains and losses this morning, just barely up by 0.3, so is it 0.03% there. Samsung released an earnings forecast saying that because of high demand for its chips, particularly for artificial intelligence, its operating profit, this is in won, so 20 trillion won. It's forecasting fourth quarter for 2025 is going to be at about $13.8 billion. Why this is pretty big is that the forecast was for 18 trillion won, and the year before it was 6.4. So I mean, that's almost like a threefold increase in chips. I mean, they're going to give us a more detailed earnings report at the end of January. We'll see how they've done with phones. In fact, I think they released a new triple foldable phone at CES. But Samsung, again, they make up such a healthy part of the Kospi in Korea. So they were up. I think SK Hynix was up as well. Moving on from there, some more updates from the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. Anti-Gravity, they are spun out of a Chinese company. They have this 360 drone. You can see this goggles here this gentleman is wearing. The drone apparently gives you a full 360 view regardless of which direction the drone is traveling. If you've operated drones, flying a drone is like flying a camera. Where the drone is facing is where you can see. You would have to change pivot in order to apparently, be able to see other things. It's got two cameras and apparently on two different parts of the drone, and apparently the software software that it uses merges the images together. So yeah, this is it. So you put on your goggles and you get this full 360 view. So they started out in China. Apparently they've got FCC approval in the United States to sell. They last raised about $200 million at a $1 billion valuation. They say they are going to list sometime in the future in the US market. DJI, of course, is the leader in this space, so they're looking to challenge them. But they're making a lot. I mean, if you're a content creator, we use drones here, for our footage and stuff. So be a content creator, media, lots of use here with this particular drone where you actually don't have to change direction. Then robots were, of course, a part of the news there. This is I think SwitchBot released this robot. It's a household robot. You can see it putting toast on a plate there, and it uses something called VLA. I think it's visual language ability or so, or visual language auditing. But that essentially allows the robot to take account of what's going on, what time you get home, what time you and the kids go out to play, which has some privacy issues. You can see, washing a window or wiping a window here and so on and so forth. But this is on the household side. On the industrial, by the way, this has wheels and it can't climb stairs. On the industrial side, look at this. This is a 6'2" Atlas robot from Boston Dynamics. It is working in a factory. They also showed this off at CES. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't get sick. It doesn't need health care. It can lift pretty, heavy weights. Look at that, 50 kg. That's like a bag of rice, I think. And Boston Dynamics is saying that this is an upgrade from the prior robots. Look at this stop here although this is CGI, while this person walks by. Security. So there was a lot of talk at CES about artificial intelligence, autonomous, also with the driving. We talked about Mercedes on Monday and the new chip that they were using they're going to be using from NVIDIA. I think going on to inflation, look at Ghana. Ghana's inflation, maybe if viewers can see this, I think the orange line is food, headline is blue. Ghana's inflation now is at 5%. Even food inflation is at 4%. This time last year, December of last year, it was at 23%. We continue to see a strong CD, with food prices edging down. The statistician general over there, Mr. Alassane Idrisu, said this steady decline signals a sustained shift towards price stability and improving macroeconomic conditions for the land of the black stars. And then finally, Nigeria. What else? Nigerian stocks just continuing to power forward. Seplat, Presco, I think WAPCO were some of the stocks that rose yesterday. All share index 40 basis point climb. We've now crossed 160 for the all share index. Market is up by 3.2%. A reminder, we did 51% returns in 2025. That's our updates for today.
Well, oh, sorry, I forgot.
I know, you're used to being on the other side.
I'll dish you in for the analysis too. Go on then, let's hear what you got to say. Alrighty. So first of all, Ghana. Yeah. I'm going to ask a question rather than give my thoughts very quickly, so then I'll hand over. But what is it that you think Ghana are doing well in order for us to see their inflation numbers come down? And is it food inflation? Was that blue? The blue line was headline inflation coming down,
yes, and then the orange was. Yeah. So gold prices have really helped Ghana a lot. Gold gave them a positive balance of payments. Gold added to their foreign exchange reserves, so that of course helped their exports, and it also strengthened the CD. So the stronger your currency is and the more stable your currency is, that is going to contribute to prices. I mean, look, inflation still measures rising prices. It's just this is the pace at which they are rising. Much like Nigeria. I mean, we had a stable currency now for well over a year, and you've seen inflation decelerate to 14%. So it's a gold story, to some extent cocoa as well, but more gold than anything else.
Thank you, Rotus.
Yeah.
I mean, let's stay on Ghana, which I think is a formidable story and a great reset for Mahama's second-term reset agenda, as he calls it. And for me, I think what stands out is their ability to have reduced their debt from, let me just check, from 66% to 45%, 1 year in office. And I just love when we walk the talk, which is that he came in, he said, we're going to cut government spending, we're going to be prudent, there shall be tight fiscal policy, and he did just that, and we're seeing the effect of it. Of course, we're also seeing the fact that there was a huge, you're looking at me like,
no, I'm with you. I'm
okay,
I'm with you.
I thought you were questioning what I was saying, yes. Then, of course, food inflation, because we know, just similar to Nigeria, the food basket itself weighs heavily when it comes to being inflation drivers. And we know that whether it be plantain or tomatoes and so forth, Ghana has been able to drive down the food prices in a way that is palpable and can be felt within the markets, within the household pocket. So I think this is a great success story. But the big difference for me is that we see several governments talk the talk about being prudent and, exercising fiscal restraint. But in this case, Mahama has done it. And I hope that his second term will go down well in history and that he will be celebrated for that. Then on the consumer, next person. DJI, new drones banned from the US. So it will be interesting to see how the new drones perform, given that the United States makes up 70 to 80% of DJI's drone market.
Okay, very quickly. The real question to ask about Ghana is, what lessons can Nigeria learn from Ghana? It's not about the minutiae. It's about the more fundamental issues. How are they managing their economy, that they've been able to reduce inflation, food inflation, and headline inflation to 4%. The devil is in the details, so we don't have enough time. Now, you talked about the prediction markets. It's a gambling market, okay? So the prediction markets say, this will happen, is there insider trading? Apart from the poly market that you mentioned, there's also the cashy market. Now, but what I find more interesting is what the cashy market is saying after the invasion of Venezuela. They are saying that we are likely to find more shocks, particularly in terms of President Trump wanting to go to Greenland, go to Panama Canal, and go to Iran. Those are things that we can look at for, apart from the ordinary expectations of those people who are in that gambling market, whether poly market or the peer or the rival, if you like, which is called the cashy market. And now, very quickly, I think AI, which you like to talk about, there's a development there. In Hong Kong, we now have the IPO by a group called SIFU, Knowledge Something Technology, and the stock price has increased by about 10%. And, you have DeepSeek from China. So it's all about the competition within the AI space, and the Chinese seem determined to go ahead of the Americans in that regard. And finally, if I may just summarize, President Trump yesterday signed a proclamation withdrawing the United States, and this may also have implications for global business, from 35 commitments by the United States. Those withdrawals were not named, but we already know that the U.S. is withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement, from WTO one way or the other, from the UNRWA, from UNESCO, and also from other commitments. And the subtext of it is that Trump is insisting that America is not interested in globalism. And if America is not interested in globalism, there will be implications for global trade, invariably. Most of the developing countries, I imagine, will suffer in that regard. Meanwhile, he wants defense spending to be increased to 1.5 trillion from the $901 billion that was approved in the budget for 2026 in December. All of these have implications for global peace and security. Thank you very much.
Thank you.